Did my card go through?
Oh no.
Your small business depends on its internet, so switch to Verizon Business. And you could get LTE business internet starting at $39 a month when paired with select business mobile plans. That's unlimited data for unlimited business.
There we go.
Get the internet you need at the price you want. Verizon Business. Starting price for LTE business internet, 25 megabits per second, unlimited data plan with select Verizon Business smartphone plan savings. Terms apply.
Big news. Sephora is now on Uber Eats. So if you find yourself facing a beauty emergency, like needing a last-minute gift, or you're just out of your favorite mascara, again, don't panic. We got you. Order now and get $10 off on Sephora orders of $50 or more on the Uber Eats app. Order now. Offer ends October 30th. One order per customer. Additional terms apply. See app for availability. Delivery fees may apply.
Electricast. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It's me, Claudia Monticelli, your host for this podcast, Let's Talk Soul. And today I have this fantastic lady with me, Tammy Young. Tammy, say hello to our audience.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
Tammy is a woman after my own heart. She does similar things that I do. She's a psychic medium and Reiki master whose spiritual journey was sparked by personal tragedy. She's now based in the state of Washington, and she works with clients doing psychic and medium readings. Tammy has just released a book called Afterlife Bonds: How Spirit Communication Turned My Grief into a Journey of Joy, where she combines her story of loss, practical exercises like meditation, dream journals, and spirit-led activities to help the reader embark on a journey of self-discovery and intuitive growth. You can find Tammy on Facebook as Tammy, Tammy Young, like being young, psychic medium, Instagram as TY Medium, Tammy Young Medium, TY Medium, or her website, tammyyoungmedium.com. Now, where to start? I'm so happy to talk to you. And I just can't tell you, ladies and gentlemen, before we press the record button, she and I were comparing notes and, laughing about how, and almost crying about how difficult this type of work really is. And of the many topics she's comfortable talking about and is knowledgeable about, she lists many different things. One is spirituality. Many of my guests talk about spirituality. Dreams is something very particular and special that many of my clients and my followers on YouTube would like to talk about. I'd like to also go through mediumship and psychic abilities. And the last is trusting in yourself, your intuition, because so many people say, how can I learn to do this? What can I do? So where shall we start? Have any good dreams lately, Tammy?
Oh, that's a great place to start. I would say that like most of my life, I didn't dream. I didn't have dreams.
Oh.
And I was going to teach a class, and I thought, I'm going to get my journal out and I'm going to journal any dreams I have.
Good.
But I want to prove that like maybe everybody doesn't have the same experience. Some people are vivid dreamers.
Yes.
Some people barely can remember, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I had a specific experience. Well, I just got my dream journal out and I thought, well, this is going to be a dream journal. Let me start writing. Anything that happened at night, I was going to wake up. I was going to write it down. That I was not going to have any, I wasn't going to get into my head about it. Just
no
write.
filters. Mm-hmm.
No filters. That's right. So I did that. And a really interesting dream came to me about gold miners on the California coast, and they were mining for gold. And I'm like, I don't know what this means. I just wrote it all down. So this flows into my book. This ends up being a sort of prognostication of finding a brother, which came later.
Okay,
But
so
what
now
was
when you
interesting
talk
was,
about prognostication, what does that mean? So a lot of people may not
like,
know.
future telling,
Okay.
future, like things happen later,
Okay.
and you dream about it prior to. So this was very interesting for me. It was like maybe a few days later or a week later that, evidence came that this was a real situation. So I found at the period of time that I was dreaming, which is probably about 6 months,
Yeah.
I would stop and write everything down. They were all very symbolic prognostications of what the next step was going to be
Oh,
in
interesting.
learning about a brother that I had that I didn't know about before.
Really?
Yes. And about the time we got to the point where, unfortunately, he at about 6 months, he passed.
At the age of 6 months?
No,
Or at,
he was probably about 61 when he
right.
passed.
Uh-huh.
So I'm trying not to tell you all about the book in hopes that, you'll read it. But
I want you to give it
flows,
away. Come on.
yes,
Give us some
it flows
spoilers.
right into this book. And so I found that the period of time that I really wanted to know about dreams, because I was going to teach this in a class, I found out that during that time, my dreams were future telling. It was about what was going to happen.
No,
When my
nice.
brother passed 6 months later after I had met him,
Yeah.
the dream stopped.
Oh, wow.
Those dreams became, since he had passed, our relationship now became a mediumistic relationship.
Oh, now isn't that interesting, huh?
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it was like as soon as I sort of acknowledged that this is what was going on and
Right.
he had passed,
Yeah.
it was like, oh no, I'm back.
So
I'm like,
this
yes,
is
you are.
this is our fairy godmother came to you and pitched you with that like Glinda, the good witch there, and made you into a psychic medium because that there's no other explanation. That is what you're supposed to do, right? This I see it as
Yes.
that. I see it as that. Now, so this just started. Okay, this just started. Now, you work with clients, so what do they usually come to you for, more specifically? How can I put it?
So
You understand the question.
I do psychic and I do mediumship, but when people come for mediumship, it really is, someone has passed and they really have that urge and that need to be in
Yes.
contact for whatever reason.
Uh-huh.
Sometimes they have like questions. Sometimes they don't. They just want to hear from mom or dad
Right.
or whoever, right? So that's usually my situation. I love it because, I try to work evidentially. I'm sure all of us do, but
And what do
knowing
you
those.
mean by working evidentially?
So working evidential is that you are bringing in information that the person who has come to you, your sitter,
Right.
understands. I may not understand it, but I'm going to flow that information through because I know it means something to them.
Right.
And it can be something as silly as one time I had I think it was a dog. Her spirit guide had come through and said something about, like, I was curious about what this lady might want to talk about just prior.
Right.
And the lady said something about an adorned alpaca.
Ah.
And I thought, an adorned alpaca, that would be interesting. So when I shared that with the lady that came to see me, she said, oh, I know exactly what that's about. That's about my white dog who's big and furry like an alpaca.
Oh, how
And I
interesting.
buy her these very glittery collars. So she's very adorned. We just love it. And I'm like, okay. So, there's all kinds of information that will flow through, whether it's before, during, or after reading. Spirit is always with us. So our job really is to really just connect in and be available for the messages and the guidance that comes through that,
now
whether it's
this-
me or anybody else.
Now, this you talk about psychic abilities, and then you also mention trust in yourself and your intuition. Um, how can we? Well, all right, let's say that my audience is quite a mixed bag of goods, and but if they come into contact with me, it's usually for mediumship abilities, and they some people are addicted to that, and even though the spirits they call upon tell them that they need to listen, they need to talk directly to them, how can we help these people and to see the signs, see what could they do so they could become more intuitive?
I love that because I feel like since my book came out, I have a lot of people looking at me in a little different way and asking those questions. And I really believe that there is so much that stems from um, meditation. Meditation can be sitting and listening to your spirit. It can be walking. It can be running. Just when you're in a state of relaxation, but you're listening, that's the state that you want to intentionally put yourself in.
Mhm.
And also mentally reaching out to our loved ones, spirit guides, loved ones, right? And asking, talking to them, just talk to them like they're your friend that's there with you, like your mother who's always been around, right? It's just that conversation. I feel like the return conversation you might see in a way of signs and symbols, coincidences, things that are happening in the world around you. Like you just talked about the color yellow because, oh, your mom loved that. And all of a sudden you see a lady in a yellow dress walk by, right?
Right.
Maybe that's not a real common color, but it's those kinds of things. I also like for people to journal because I think that's how you gain confidence in yourself.
Right. Now, when you
You
say
learn.
journaling, we did just mention your dream journal. What is the best way, according to you, for people to
Great.
journal?
According to me,
Yeah, right. Well,
I like
everybody has
to,
a different
yeah,
idea.
that's right. So I have two journals. I have a dream journal, and then I have a daily journal, which I have next to me during meditation. After meditation, I like to pull out that journal and just write what came to me. And just, I want to have that down as sort of an evidential.
Right.
My background is engineering,
Right.
so I want to make sure that I'm not making things up, right? There have
Right.
been, yeah, there have been times where something has happened months later, and I thought that was in my journal, and I returned back to my journal to find out it was.
Yeah.
So there's this confidence. I feel that once you get introspective about yourself and what
Right.
is going on, there's confidence can be gained through that.
Hmm. Okay, so it's a little bit part confidence, part experience, part listening to yourself, and a big part is writing it down because we are all so different. Um, what about talking a little bit more about spirituality because it means so many different things to different people? Everything we've been talking about, according to me, has been or come about or exists in the realm of spirituality. But let's try to go, beyond that envelope and try to understand spirituality that permeates in our everyday life. That's not only the meditation, the prayers, something that we can consider spiritual connections that we normally wouldn't consider spiritual.
That's a good question. I mean, I think what we've just talked about, like methods of, I want to say like being in the zone, whether it's
Mm-hmm.
called meditation or not, whether it's walking in nature, if it's running, those things just put us in a relaxed, open, to the universe sort of a way. I think of, I think about my grandparents. I think about, my mother and my brother who has passed. And I believe that they are in a different, what I like to call heaven,
Mm-hmm.
and there is an ability for all of us to just perceive some guidance and to hear from them. I feel like looking beyond what we do daily and looking into that realm, being open to listen to guidance,
Mm-hmm.
whether it's some people are auditory, they can hear, some people will see things. But always, I feel like there's always coincidence and symbols that we can perceive in that conversation back and forth.
Yeah. I want to add a bit here and get us away from us and the universe, us and the spirits. What I also believe are spiritual connections is when you walk down the street, in a coffee shop, down the mall, anywhere, and you talk to people, those encounters are not necessarily pickups. They're not necessary. They're just communication. And trying to get away from that online dating app, which, we've all used, and I'm not bad-mouthing that, but I'm trying to talk about the true connection that's made when we least expect it, and which with very simple means, like a smile or a hello, those words are spiritual money that is flows from one person to another, and that is one of the signs of a person who truly lives in a spiritual world rather than what is the opposite of spiritual world. In the dictionary, it says something like pragmatic or whatever, something that is material, whereas money has its spiritual value as well. And I'll just add to this and then I'll shut up. Money as a spiritual value, it is the language of love for many people. People love to give gifts, to get gifts. That is their language of love, and not all of us understand. I didn't understand it, And so when you meet someone who has so much of it and they start giving you gifts, oh God, what are they trying to buy me, But I want to veer off of this a second. Before we started recording, Tammy was talking to me about where she lives now. It's a new location. She used to be in Austin, Texas. And I want her to talk about that because it's, in line with our being in nature and observing in a certain way. What do you do different where you live now with relation to where you lived before?
Oh, what a great question.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a huge influx, growth in population there in Austin, Texas,
Yeah.
and it noticeably started during the pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
I lived in an area I would have considered sort of on the outskirts of town.
Ah.
And, by the time I moved earlier this year, I was right in the middle of it. There were highways, there were new schools being built. The subdivision I lived in really became a thoroughfare for a
Oh.
lot of people. So, we would get on the highway and you had to go at least 70 miles an hour or you're getting run over. And that was a lot for me. That was a lot because I had been there for 30 years and I'm sure part of it getting older too. I just felt like I don't need to live this way. I don't need to live in this fast hustle bustle, feeling like I'm being pushed down the road or, we had to make reservations everywhere we went because there were so many people. And I just didn't want to live that kind of existence. Where I live now is almost the opposite. Not to mention kind of the atmosphere in Austin, it gets very hot, dry. We have tornadoes and winds and allergies. And
yeah, wait a minute. I have to put in my 2 cents. Before we started recording, she was telling me that she was looking out for a place. It was 4 years on Zillow, and then she found her place. So go ahead, go on.
Yes, absolutely. So when this place popped up, which was at Thanksgiving, that's just passed, I just thought, oh my gosh, this is what I have sort of
Find audiobooks that work for you. Discover a neuroscientist's guide to boosting your brain health in Why Brains Need Friends by Dr. Ben Rhine. Explore the science-backed approach to manifesting the life of your dreams with How to Manifest by Lacey Phillips. And become the perfect host with Having People Over by Chelsea Fagan. Tap the banner to learn more.
Hey, the vibes are slipping. I think it's time to bring out the Velveeta shells and cheese. The holidays are a time to go all in on indulgence. Headline your meals with the rich, creamy meltiness of Velveeta shells and cheese and satisfy your holiday cravings like no other. Bring that main course energy to your side dish. Celebrate extra with Velveeta these holidays.
Passively, I would say, looked for, and all of a sudden it's here. And I just thought, oh boy, am I ready for this? And I do have my guides talk to me at very important moments. And when I was like, ooh, do I really look at this? Do I not? And I heard them say, why are you passing up the magic that's been created for you? Yeah. And I'm like, oh my God, it's 4 years. Of course, I'm not going to do that. So I came, I looked at the house. It was in great disrepair. It needs lots of renovation.
That's a nice way of saying it. Great disrepair.
Yes. And so, of course I bought it because I had just asked the day before it came into my, you can set limits on what you want to pay for a house. Right? So the day before, I had gone to see a movie with my son, and on the way home, I said, boy, I just want a house where it has a view, and I want to be able to have space for my friends to come and relax. And I also want to be able to plant flowers that bloom in the summer. You can't do that in Texas. So I was just like, this is what I'm looking for. And within a day, the price was lowered, and this house drops into this little search that I had going every day. And that's when they said, why are you not doing this?
Tell us about the view. Magic. Please tell us about the view.
Yes. Well, the view out the back, upstairs and downstairs, is a view of Seattle at night. So kind of off to the left, you see Seattle. Then straight ahead, it's like Western Seattle. And then off to the right is Mount Rainier.
So you're on an island out there, right?
Yes, west of Seattle. So I'm on Puget Sound. Sometimes when we talk about things, we maybe if we're praying or we're helping people, we might want to say this or something better. This blew me away.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. So of course, I'm in the middle of a house renovation. They just finished the downstairs. So I live downstairs, and now they're going to work on the upstairs. But I know that this was like, I was called to be here at this time. And I feel like after having written a book, it was like, great, now we're going to send you over here. You have some work to do. So.
Let's talk about that book. When did it hit the market? When was it published?
It hasn't even been a year. It happened in August of last year.
Okay, so let me get that title again. The title is Afterlife Bonds, How Spirit Communication Turned My Grief into a Journey of Joy. And
yes.
you How long was that? How long in the making did it take you to write?
Well, it actually took me about 4 years to
Hmm.
write the book and get it,
Yeah, I can
working with
understand.
the editor,
Yeah.
and getting it to market and all that. So, yeah, it's 4 years, and I am so thrilled that it's here and that it's out
Yeah, that's good. And we can find it um,
on Amazon.
bookstores on Amazon as well. Um, now, I know I write a lot, so I know the the pregnancy and when it finally comes out, the baby. It's never only 9 months, and
Right.
but when it comes out and you're so happy about it, because there's that sweet spot where you say, this is okay. Nah, I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like no this, and then it's thrown out. Okay, I've got 5 years of throwing out things now. But when it comes, you think, oh my, oh my, oh me, oh my, oh. Start dancing around your house and thinking, oh, this is great. This is good. I could just see people reading it. I could just see what they're thinking. And, but it is an experience that's quite different. So very different from other things that we all do. For example, you work, any context. You could be a doctor, you could be a lawyer, you can be an Indian chief, any kind of work that you do. It is a service, let's say. You service things, or you give a service, or you create a service, or you create. When it comes to the writing process, isn't that a whole new bag of tricks there? It's reflective, and not many people have the reflective genes. Let's put it that way. But how was your experience in the writing process? Because this is a particular book. It's about you and the bonds and grief into. And what was the purpose to write the book? What did you start with?
I would have to say, like, about a year before the beginning of the books, I originally thought that I was going to write children's books. So I played around with that. I took classes, I wrote a few things. I was in some groups. I learned a lot about just writing.
You probably learned that wasn't for you.
Well, I had gotten in the habit of just sort of writing and kind of getting to that place in my heart.
Right.
And so when I found out I had a brother, that information, I just want to say, came through a psychic. And I thought, what? So, I had to out myself. Just that
out myself.
Yeah, because I'm from an engineering family. I'm an engineer myself. So that's a big twist as far as so now I have to tell them that, there's a brother out there, he might call you. So I had to tell them that. And there was just a lot of feelings that came up around that. Just the fact that I would have a brother who did not grow up with me, and he would have different experiences. So I love that. And I was having, thoughts about how wonderful it'd be to have vacations together. I found myself writing in order to just have those feelings flow through me.
Exactly. This is what I was, it is an experience. Writing is the experience. You write, but it's not the words it is the process that is the experience, which is phenomenal. Now, an engineer. So the engineer turned psychic. You said it came through a psychic. It came through a medium, this information. And was it after that experience that you yourself started doing this kind of work?
So I just want to warn you, there's a lot in the book. So
she's not going to give us a spoiler. No, I was trying to get it.
I will tell you how this started. My actual spiritual psychic mediumship really started probably all my life, but there was a particular, I lost a pregnancy. I
Uh-huh.
was 20 weeks pregnant and lost
Ooh.
a child.
Ooh.
That really pushed me to the
Oh,
front
yeah. Oh, God. Yeah, sure.
I have to do something, right? And that really, I read every book I could get a hold of. And then of course there's another situation that occurs that all of a sudden pushes me to, I have to use this experience because there's a missing child around me.
Right.
And so I'm sort of being pushed by spirit all along, like, okay, that's nice. You've had enough time. Now we're going to do
Now
this.
get on the
Okay, you've
stick.
had enough
Yeah.
time.
Uh,
Yeah. So, yeah. So, yeah, that was just sort of the thing that led me
but wait a
there.
minute. Now, here we are, and you started telling your family members, and they know that you're crazy out of your mind, right? What are you, crazy? What are you doing? She's an engineer. What? Okay.
Right.
I went through the same thing. My husband was saying to my children, she's at it again. I heard them whispering.
Right.
And so what gave you the strength of conviction, really, that made you absolutely know that what you were doing was it, you know? Or
Yeah.
because a lot
Well,
of
I want
people
to
think
say,
they're making it up, right?
right. So the first thing that I would say, there's some, right. So in engineering, you want evidence, right? You want
Right.
evidence
Yeah.
because you can't see what electricity does. You can only see the results.
Right.
I also will say that just seeing the results. So evidence was just the way for me, but I also was feeling energy, right? When you get those chills and things when
Right.
people are
Yes.
talking to you.
Yes.
There were a couple of sort of, you could say, energetic things going on that you can even relate to engineering in that way.
Right.
Um, so when I talked about a missing child, I had been like, if a missing child came up on TV,
Yeah.
I was having feelings around that. So I would sit and meditate and see what information came to me.
Uh-huh.
And then I would follow along on TV as the investigation moved forward.
Oh, and I see the journal coming up, though. You would write that
Yes,
down. Yeah.
yes. And so when you realize that you are getting information and then, the police are falling behind you, right?
Right. Right.
Right. So I was in the midst of that kind of a thing when we had a situation in my neighborhood where there
Right.
was a missing child.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really the first time it was someone I knew, and I was on purpose
Oh, dear.
sitting,
Mm-mm.
meditating to get some information.
Right. Right.
And it lasted, like, it was about 24 hours.
Mm-hmm.
But during this time, I was getting information and I wrote it all down. And then all of a sudden, this little boy returned home.
Good. Uh-huh.
So I went with his mother. I asked if she would show me, and I told her why. I'm sort of working on trying to see what I can perceive.
Right.
And oh, yes. She says, let me show you. Let me show you where he was at.
Uh-huh.
So I was able to compare the things in my book directly with the experience that boy had.
Yeah. 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 Interesting.
So that's when I knew, like, this is real.
Yeah, okay. But then there's the opposite side of the spectrum. All right, these are bits and pieces. When people talk about things coming to them, downloads, all of a sudden, boom, 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 being bombarded with information. Right now, we know that there are spirits all over. There are more spirits than there are humans. We know that. That is a fact, okay? There is obviously a way that we need to protect ourselves. Otherwise, they're going to overcome us with their needs. These poor spirits, some of them are crying out for help. And some, we need to put our boundaries up, okay? Do you have a special way or a specific, I call it hygiene, that you do, or to prepare for sessions when you meditate and get information? Is there something specific that you can do? Because here I am. We were just talking before. I had a mediumship session with a client, and so many other spirits can come through. So you have to really discern what's going on. Is there something specific that you do?
So I would say two things. When I originally started opening up and meditating, there would be times when perhaps something, I'm very visual, so there would be maybe some things that would occur or would show up in meditation. Mm-hmm. And I would just stop and I would very straightforward say, no, I'm not here for you. Right. You're not allowed. And I'm going to open my eyes and close my eyes and just say, I'm here for the grace and light of God.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And that would there's a cleansing. But I know when I do readings, we start with a prayer. Yes. That the intention is that we connect directly with love and light through God. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So this is something that needs to be borne in mind when you approach this type of work. And we could go on and on, Tammy, talking forever. Just let me give our listeners the title of your book again, which is Afterlife Bonds, How Spirit Communication Turned My Grief into a Journey of Joy, by Tammy Young. Tammy, it was such a joy to talk to you. I do hope we have the opportunity to talk again. Another book, you never know.
Thank you. I really enjoyed talking with you today. Thank you so much for having me.
I hope to have you back. Bye-bye, Tammy.
Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow Let's Talk Soul Podcast on Instagram. Let's Talk Soul Podcast is a production of Electrocast Media. Our executive producers are Mark Netter and Peter Rafelson. If you like our show and like what you hear, please subscribe and give us a rating wherever you enjoy podcasts. And remember, stay curious, stay inspired, and never stop exploring the depths of your soul.
Hey Iris, why is everyone in the world of Dracula at each other's throats?
The lost version of Bram Stoker's novel has been unearthed, and everyone is trying to bring its author to light.
The stakes have never been higher. But who wrote it? Bram Stoker?
I'm going to find out. Count on it.
The Powers of Darkness podcast from Or Whatever Movies.
Wherever you get podcasts, October 2025.